What's up, guys? About to hit you with another new and exciting vlog today. Well, it's always exciting, but new, not because I'm just posting this now, but new because we're at a new location. We're actually out in Cali for the first time in a while, and the first time on the channel. Sacramento, California to be exact. And the reason why we chose this spot was actually not poker related at all. Shocker. So this vlog is gonna be a little different. We're gonna add a little day in the life, weekend in the life. So a little bit more exploring, but don't worry, we'll get to the poker later. The reason we came here to Sacramento was actually for a concert, for NF concert. NF is a Christian rapper, and he's actually one of my favorite artists. Just his overall positivity, his lyrics. If you guys haven't checked out any of his stuff, I'd highly recommend listening to some of it. Whether you're either working out or just driving on your way to work, it could really brighten up your day and get you going. So it was just a short weekend trip getaway for the concert, but we did some research and we were able to find a poker game about 8 or 9 minutes away from our hotel. So the concert was on Saturday and we got in on Friday morning, and of course there's no rooms available that early, so we just leave our bags at the hotel and head out and see what we can find. The hotel was right next to the river and right next to Old Town, which had a lot of shops, gift shops, and random things to buy. But the coolest place that I found was this candy shop. It was huge. It felt like I was at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Just so many options of candies, chocolates, gummies, sour this, sour that. It was just unbelievable. And you guys know I'm a health nut, but if I am gonna have something bad, my favorite is Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. If you're like me and you like Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, give this video a like. If not, let me know in the comments what your favorite candy is to munch on. After a few hours of walking, we worked up an appetite and we found this spot, Joe's Crab Shack. Again, right next to the river, so not a bad view. And they just opened up, so there wasn't that many people there. So the service was super quick and the food was even better. It got a little frustrating at times, not gonna lie, cracking those crab legs, trying to get as much meat out of them as possible, but it was worth it. After that solid meal, we head back to the hotel. The room's ready, so we relax a little bit, let my food go down. Then we hit a 2-hour workout, and now we're focused, we're ready to play some cards. We arrive at Limelight card room around 6 p.m. and my first impressions of this place was it's pretty cool. I mean, they have blackjack, 3-card poker, baccarat, and a couple poker tables in the back. I mean, that's pretty cool if you ask me. I asked if they had an open seat, and luckily they do. I'd just be the 10th player, so we'd be playing 10-handed, which is fine. Less legroom, which kind of sucks, but as long as I can play, who cares? The guy at the front desk asked me how much I want to start with, and I usually like to look at the table just to see what the other opponents have in front of them so I can match it. And when I walked up to the table, I saw a lot of green. I was like, do I even have enough money to play at this table? The funny thing is, and this actually took a while to get used to, is the greens are actually $5 and the reds were $1. I've actually never seen that before. Usually the green chips are the standard $25. I think at 99% of casinos and poker rooms around the world are $25 green chips. And the reds are $5, but over here it's a little different. And the front desk guy did assure me that it is a 1-3 game, $500 max, or match the stack. So we just start with the $500 max, covering most of the opponents. It takes us about 30 minutes to get situated and get involved. Not because the chip denominations were different colors, but we just weren't really getting any playable cards. So in this hand, we're in the cutoff. It folds around to us, and we look down at 10-8 offsuit. We really like later position, so we raise it up with a lower than average hand to $10. The button cold calls my $10 raise, the small blind gets out of the way, and the button makes the call as well. So 3 ways to a flop in between 2 opponents. The flop gives us open-ended with a Jack-9 Ace rainbow board. The big blind checks in flow, and this is a board where we can represent some good hands being the pre-flop raiser. So we c-bet, throw out $20. The button gets out of the way, but the big blind makes the call. So now we're at least in full position the rest of the way, which is a big help. And we're gonna need it because the turn gives us none. It's a brick, it's a 5 of spades. It brings in the full rainbow, which we don't say too often, but again, brings us no help. And when the big blind checks to us again for a second time, we have a decision to make. We can either keep barreling or check and see a free card. We decide on the aggressive route and continue, this time for 45, hoping to either take it down right here, or if he happens to call, hoping we hit our straight. And if not, then we might just have to turn this hand into a triple barrel. But no need for the third barrel. He gives us no more resistance and folds. The power of being in position, and always glad to start off a session in the green. A few hands later, we're first to act and under the gun, and we look down at ace-queen offsuit. A really good hand, so we raise it up, we throw out 15. The guy next to act and the under the gun 1 makes the call, folds around all the way to the cutoff, who makes the call as well. The button and the blinds get out of the way, so we're 3 ways to a flop. And we do hit this one. It's ace king 7 rainbow. We do something a little unorthodox. I mean, we can't always see bet when we hit top pair, can we? So this time we decided check. The under the gun 1 also checks to the cutoff, who senses a little weakness and throws out a bet, and he throws out $21. On this rainbow board, I don't think a check raise accomplishes anything, so we just make the call for 21, and the under the gun 1 throws his cards away. So now we're heads up. The turn is a 9 of diamonds, bringing the backdoor flush draw. We check and fold to the aggressor, and he slows down and checks. So kind of figured that he was just taking a stab with air, or an inferior hand, like an ace with a really weak kicker would also play this way. So we feel really good about our hand, especially when the river comes, a brick, a 4 of clubs, changes absolutely nothing, and we really have nothing to worry about now. We can't let this check through, so we have to throw out a bet. So now I'm just thinking of how much can we bet so an ace with a weak kicker can call. There's $91 in the middle, so we go a little bit bigger and we go 2/3 pot and we throw out $60. My line doesn't really make too much sense. Check calling the flop, checking the turn, and then just leading river for 2/3. I probably should have made it a little bit bigger, like $80, or maybe gone super polar like full pot or a little over pot. But the sizing that I did choose should easily get a call by any ace, or even a king for that matter. Cause sure enough, he says good hand, counts out his chips, and makes the call. We flip over our cards, and it's good, he mucks. In this hand, there's a few limpers in the field for $3. The button raises it up to 15. We're in the small blind, and we look down at ace-king offsuit. We're not having it for 15, so we bump it up, we make it 55 to go. And one by one, everyone folds, including the button. So no action here with ace-king. This hand is a little similar. There's under the gun straddle this time for $6. The guy to my right in the low jack limps for 6. We're next to act in the hijack, and we look down at ace-queen offsuit. We bump it up, make it $30 to go. And again, one by one, they all return their cards back to the dealer. That's one way to steal pots, just raising or 3-betting and taking it down, not even seeing a flop. After a few hours of playing, one of the guys calls it a night, and we actually take his seat because it's a much better view for the vlog. A new player joins the table shortly after, so we're still 10-handed, and every 30 minutes at this location, there's a $15 PLO double board bomb pot, which we actually get some really good looking starting hands. And I say really good looking starting hands because the boards just do not cooperate with us at all. I mean, look at these hands, pocket 10s, ace jack, jack 10 suited, or ace 5 suited with pocket jacks. I mean, I know I'm not an Omaha player, but those are some pretty good looking starting hands. And even with 2 flops or 2 boards, just not connecting at all. And with the pot starting at $120 to $150, every pot size bet is just a lot. So just forced to fold after every flop. So there really wasn't a lack of action here. Many players were willing to put a lot of money in the middle, just wasn't really having it for Omaha this night. But oh well, that's just how it goes. Moving on to this hand, we have ace-king offsuit again, this time in the big blind. There's an under the gun straddle to $6. The next to act, the under the gun 1 raises to 22. The cutoff makes the call, the button and the small blind get out of the way. Action on us, and we're definitely gonna raise this up with a premium hand out of position, so we throw out $75. The under the gun straddle gets out of the way. The next to act, the under the gun 1, the initial aggressor, calls my $75 raise, and the cutoff calls as well. So 3 ways to a flop out of position. And it comes 7-8 deuce rainbow. Not the flop we were looking for, especially out of position. And I don't really know what to do in this spot against two opponents on this board. I mean, throwing out a c-bet is probably the standard because we can represent all over pairs, aces, kings, queens. But my range as a 3-better in early position is pretty much capped to an overpair, and I don't really have the nut advantage. I can't really have pocket 2s, pocket 7s, or pocket 8s, but my opponents can definitely have those holdings. And every hand that I'm involved in, I always try to put myself in my opponent's shoes. Like, what would I do in this situation? Or what do I think he's going to do in this situation? Or what do I think that he thinks that I know that he might know, if that all makes sense. So if I'm facing a smart quality opponent and he knows all that stuff that I just explained about the nut advantage or my hand being capped and them being in position, they can definitely take advantage of that. I know I would, but with all that nerd talk, we just decide to check this one. And both players check back, so we get to see a free turn. And it's a good one. It's a king of diamonds, completing the full rainbow. So no backdoor flushes come in, no straights complete, and we have top. So now we got to go for some value. The question is, how much value? There's over $230 in the middle, and we go pretty small. We only throw out 95. I go with this sizing because we're only really going to get called by another king, a weaker king, and there's only 2 more left in the deck. Hands like king, queen suited, king, jack suited, those holdings that can call off my bet. Or they probably just had like an underpair, like 4s, 5s, 6s, because they both fold pretty quickly. All right, I got to stop the poker real quick and talk about this giant wheel that they had on the wall. At some casinos and poker rooms that you may have played at before, they have promotions. And one of the promotions at this location is after a certain amount of hours played, you get to spin this wheel. And on the wheel has like $20 free play, $25 cash, $50 this, all the way up to $100 cash is the best one that you can get. I think it's after 10 hours of live play that you get to spin this wheel, and those hours don't go away, so it accumulates over time. And I wasn't 100% sure, maybe it's just on certain days, but as long as you play 2 hours, you get to spin the wheel. And it's already past those 2 hours, so we got to spin. And as a side bet, one of the players suggested whoever wanted to put $20 off to the side, and whoever spun the highest number gets that money as well. I was like, all right, I'm in, let's do this. And we got 4 other players, so there was $100 in the middle. So the first guy spun, and he got like $25 free play, or whatever the lowest was. It might have been $20 in free play. And it was my turn, so I'll let you guys sweat what I spun. Boom, got the highest one, $100 in cash. They were all like, ooh, forget it, you already won. I mean, technically somebody could have got the same and we could have tied and had a spin-off, but nobody came even close. So I got the $100 in side bet money, and the floor cashier guy came over to me and gave me a crisp $100 bill. So that was a cool, different way to make 180 bucks. But we don't add that to our stack. We just put it in our bag because we're still covering everybody at the table. And we're back to the poker. Not a lot happens for over an hour until this hand that we get involved in. We're in the cutoff, and there's an $8 under the gun straddle. At this location, you're able to straddle for any amount that you want, and that player happened to choose $8. It folds around all the way to us, and we look down at ace-3 of clubs. A hand that we debate raising, but we just decide to limp for $8 and immediately get punished by the button, who raises to $32. The small blind cold calls the raise, the big blind gets out of the way, the under the gun straddle makes the call, action back on us, and we're closing the action, so we decide to call the $32. So we're 4 ways to a flop, and it comes 7-7-5 with 2 clubs. A pretty good board for our hand. We have the nut flush draw, 1 over, and backdoor straight. We all check around to the button, who throws out a c-bet of $75. The small blind and the under the gun muck their cards, action on us. And this analysis kind of piggybacks the last hand that we just went over about the ranges being capped and the nut advantage. As the preflop aggressor, his range is capped to an overpair, so he could only have an overpair at best. And I just limped in the cutoff, so I can definitely have a lot of 7Xs in my range. So we're going to represent that here, and we check raise to $200, putting a lot of pressure on hands that are still beating us, like ace king, ace queen. Because remember, we still don't have a made hand. We just have ace 3 high. So getting a better ace to fold is definitely a win here in this situation. He takes his time, thinks about it for a little bit, and ultimately does make the call. I'm like, did not want that to happen. I mean, I guess a jam would have been even worse, and we'd probably have to call it off. Because when I look at his stack, he only has around $155 left in it. So now, because of the stack to pot ratio, we're pretty much going to have to jam any turn card. And the plan definitely doesn't change when the turn comes, a queen of diamonds.
All in.
We don't get a snap call, which is awesome. So we're not up against pocket queens. So we're still not drawing dead, even if we are up against aces. And we put this guy in a blender because he tanks for at least 2 minutes, even before he even opens his mouth.
Show me if I fold.
I will. I mean, it's on the vlog, so you're going to see it either online or...
It'd be funny if you haven't been recording this whole time.
I'm just full of shit and just...
Because the phone's off, the battery's dead.
I'd be the best actor because I'm making up so many stories.
It's so weird. I feel like you have like some sort of
I really thought he was going to call out my hand. It was like on the tip of his tongue. I can just feel him wanting to say, you have ace something of clubs. He takes a little while longer after this, but ends up giving his cards back to the dealer.
Fuck! I knew it! God damn it!
Dumbass. Grab it.
Can I see the river, please? I have to. I need to know. I knew you had ace something.
I didn't know. I didn't think I had fold equity. I was like, I wish you
can't.
but you didn't have enough. But
yeah, that makes me feel way better. Thank you for showing. I had ace king.
I would have shown.
I almost hero called with ace king.
I mean, give the man credit for contemplating that long, wanting to call off with ace king high. But it felt really good to get this one through. Even though we did see the river, it was a club. We would have won an extra $150. But I'm still happy with our play, getting it through with ace high. This last hand we're gonna go over, it kind of fits the theme of this whole night because we get ace king offsuit again. I think we got this hand like 3 or 4 times that night. And in this hand, there's an under the gun straddle for $7 this time. It folds around all the way to the cutoff, who limps for 7. The button limps as well. We're in the small blind and definitely not gonna limp. We're gonna bump it up and we throw out $50. Kind of wanting the action, and all these guys seen me jam all in with ace high, so maybe we can get called light. But again, one by one, they all return their cards back to the dealer, and we take down another pot uncontested. Being aggressive and stealing pots pre-flop can definitely build up a stack over time. But that was the last interesting hand of this session. We decided to call it a night, rack up our chips, and cash out. All right, now that you guys are up, I told you it was an exciting one. A little bit different than a type of vlog than we're used to making, not just all poker hands. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And I wanted to do this outro back at home because I have a few announcements. But before those announcements, let's just get to the numbers for the Sacramento trip. We were in the game for 500, didn't have to add on once, so that was good. And then we were out for 894. So profit of 394 on that. Oh, and also the wheel spin, the $180 in profit there, the $100 cash that we spun, and the $80 in side bet money. So an overall profit of 574, not too bad, only playing for about 4 hours. And I really enjoyed this trip. Not only did I meet a lot of cool people, but going somewhere new and different is always a plus. And as far as the announcements, I am going to Vegas at the end of the month. So going to be there for about 3 or 4 days. And if you guys are in town and want to get together and play some cards, hit me up on here and we can set something up and make it happen. Also, on one of my upcoming trips, I do want to take some shots and play in some bigger games, like 10-20, and it might be this trip. I don't know. You guys will just have to stay tuned and find out. And lastly, I know I'm gonna have to make some phone calls, but I do want to get on a live stream of some sort. So if you guys want to see me play live, let me know down below and we can make that happen as well. But that's all I gotta say, and you guys already know. Peace out.